There we go. There, I think you can see me now. Hello, welcome everyone. Namaste, Akasha here. I'm so glad to be back after the equinox and my epic retreat and our incredible transformation. And I'll be very honest with you from the start. I'm not really sure if I am. I am not fully integrated into 3D yet. And it's definitely a big shift from yesterday through this morning, because during these retreats, it's this deep work. So if you're one of my students or clients, you know how deep the work is. And we work on your multidimensional self. We work on any life, any time, any space that's relevant to your soul. We access all levels of your Akasha. Excuse me, I'll take off my obsidian bracelet. It's making some noises. You stay right here, honey. And so what happens is that we have, it's so interesting, we have a chance constantly, just life, day to day, energies, cosmic energies, been looking at the energies that are coming up now that we're through the equinox, and it's a very big deal. So the energies from the end of January till last week, till I don't really know what, this week, I think, have been very fast forward, very supportive. And what we have to become aware of now is that we're moving towards eclipse season. We're moving into a couple of big transformations, Saturn in Pisces. And I'll be talking more about this on the Spiritual Weather Report next week. Pluto in Aquarius, but then back in Capricorn, but then in Aquarius. And why this is important, because of what you're seeing happen in the world around you. So when we go on a retreat, we go between the worlds, we go to another world. We are outside of that input that you have on a day-to-day basis. Even if you don't go on Facebook all day long or watch TV or talk to everybody about their opinion, you still have a certain kind of input, a certain kind of attitude, and a distraction to your energy when you're at home. And so when you go on a retreat, when you leave your home and you go into someplace new, especially when you do it as a sacred journey, then things really happen. You can't force a quantum leap in your spirituality, okay? However, you can prepare for it. And that's what you're here to do every single day. So every day as we get up, it's a practice day. Every day when we go to sleep, it's a practice day, because we never aren't a being. Just because our physical body and mind rests, the rest of us, which is huge, your light body, you have an aura or physical etheric, you have an emotional body, you have a mental body, a financial body, and a pain body, and on and on and on. And all these levels of who you are intersect with different parts of your chakras, energy centers, and other things as you learn energy to sense it, to see it, as you increase your intuition. In every day, you have opportunities to do this. You have to, though, begin with you. So the beautiful thing was to watch these retreats come together, people in, people out, people, the kinds of energies that it I don't want to say triggers, they're going, no, opens, inspires in people, like, I really want that. And then, bloof, every reason why you can't have it, whether it's 3D, emotional, mental, or whatever, it come up. Well, that right there is a clearing and a healing. So many people have told me over the years that it's on their bucket list to come to the retreats, and many people told me the first year, 6 months or so of the pandemic lockdown, that they wish they had done it, and they wish they had done a lot of other things. So I think it's good to not forget that, because we are in a phase where the freedom is going to be so strong within us for independence and freedom, and we are going into an age of individual spiritual beings who also care about the whole. However, all energy can go all the way to one extreme and all the way to another extreme. So you have to watch it, because what you're going to see in the world out there is more fear, more lockdown, more people trying to control, more people taking away rights, more people passing laws, imposing, because that's what fear does. So we've come through this equinox portal, and the most important thing is today I want to share I am sharing the things that came through, some of the stories, some of the magic, some of the amazing things. That way you also get to benefit from this cocoon that we walked in. Now, you've also just walked through the equinox portal, whether you were with me or not. So whatever you have you've experienced and have had, well, what we saw was a lot of releasing in a very loving way, a lot of opening to new skills, a lot of vision coming online, a lot of new skills of communication coming online for people. And that's what happens is you're in a sacred place, you do this sacred work, you then go around these high vibrational beings or sacred sites or waters or dolphins. And we did so many third eye activations. In the past, we only ever did it once, and it wasn't everyone. It was something that I came up with right near the end of the retreats. Now, I did lots of other types of healings when I went for healing to help heal the paraplegics that would come to do healing on each other and the dolphins. However, in the retreats, so I simply had taken the kiss and moved it up to my third eye, and there was I'm trying to remember what it looked like. It like a sphere that then grows a disc, like a planet that then grows a disc that way. And this time I was very dedicated, and because of the guidance from spirit, is that this must be part of the retreat, that we have a certain way that we work with the dolphins, and we meet our pod. We get to go and just say, hello, my loves, and meet them. Then we get to move into greeting them, touching them, holding their hearts, kissing and hugging, doing some fun play things. Then we have this vibration going. We've been in the vibration of the water. All the dolphins, whether they're the ones that we're talking to, can send you frequencies through the water, and you're starting to get your bliss brain. You're starting to release from your body any disease. So a lot of old patterns that were very palpable were starting to come up, and were amplified in a couple of the initial healings. So every day I do one or more, usually one in activation, one healing, one channeled with sound healing. I do cleansing. I bring as many of my instruments and crystals and everything as I can. We cleanse with everything from herbs and copal. We call them Mayan directions. We have representatives of all of our beautiful guides. And this is my new gift from Jaguar, which I'll share with you in a moment why that's gone from awesome and amazing as a guide in my life, especially in the last 6 years since I came to the Yucatan Peninsula. However, it's just gone to a whole new level that, like I said, I'm still integrating so much. And when you go through these profound experiences, so remember this, even if you're at home and you go through a profound experience at a stoplight, you need to honor it. All right. And you need to give it time to unfold. So many of you hear me say in my classes, let it unfold. All right. Don't rush to figure out what something means when you get a message, when you get a feeling, when some sort of intuitive communication or connection happens. All right. Because we were gifted and we knew we were called, and I always go beforehand, and I always talk to the land, and I always ask for permission from all the spirits and the guides and the elementals, and I do a lot of work before and during, so that you are entering, because it is your soul's highest good, you are entering onto a path of an agreement. And what we saw this time, which has always been true but in a very different way, was soul contracts, soul completions, soul appointments being met. And I've been seeing this, especially in the last year, couple of years, probably in my private client sessions. It'll suddenly be like, oh my gosh, what's happening right now in this session, wherever we've gone, whoever's come in, whatever the Akasha is opening us to, we begin to go there. There's no time, there's no space. So I'm a traveler, a star traveler, a astral traveler, dimensional, interdimensional traveler, and a shamanic, and trained in many, many mystery schools, many energy medicines, homeopathic doctor, and all these things. And all of this for me on my path was because every step of the way, there was something that came up in my personal life that felt scary, out of control. Why'd I lose it? How do I get free from the pain? How do I get free from thinking I'm no good? And all of the things that most people have some version of as you came. This is the lifetime for completing so many things in your soul that you can't absorb the magnificence of who you are. You can't quite fully understand, because at this level of truth to you, you're still extremely limited. We all are. So it doesn't matter if you come to a retreat and you're like, I've been meditating for 100 years and I see and talk to my guides every day. Fucking fantastic. All right, let's play, because we know when you're at that level, there's another level. There's another opening of your truth. There's another answer to something that's come up. You can't understand what your, let's say New Year's Eve of 2023. You currently cannot understand, you cannot conceive, thank you, that's a good word, who you will be, because you've never been there. You're pulling in your ancient wisdom. You're opening the box of your soul purpose. You're digging into another theme that came up. And these are important because I know when they come up in a retreat, through the people that are there, through the things that happened to me, because I'm going through the journey too. The first night before it started, I was semi-awake. I was in a lucid, altered state where I was watching and assisting in a healing preparation for all of us there. I always create the space. So those of you who've taken energy cleanses, I highly recommend you get it. It has everything you need for cleansing and clearing and protecting yourself, your space, and many other things. It's a daily processes that you really want to do. Okay, so I'm creating the space, and I've done this already from afar, and I've done that on the way there, and I've talked to the land, and I've done all of my blessings that I've learned through the ancients, the Maya, the Aztecs, the Lakota Sioux, the Egyptians, the Atlanteans, the Lemurians. There's many levels of wisdom that come through you as you go places. You get triggered with old codes. So the difference in doing work online, which is extremely powerful now, and thank goodness we have this way to connect, just like this. I can touch you. Oh, I can't wait to hug you. And the level of going, and the people who came in and out and moved dates and wanted to come and saw the fears come up and then decided no, and then decided yes, and then found out in this synchronistic way because they'd already planned to be here. Like literally practically on top of where we were. So I know every step of the way I'm talking to spirit about the dates, about the content, the layout, the place, the location, everything. I never force things anymore. I go after and make it happen as soon as I know that my inner authority and all of the guides, the land, everything has said, yes, go. This is the date. This is the time. Yes, you can do this, moving where we're going to stay, all these different things. So do I still do it? Don't I do it? Is it right? Is this person right? All these things. So one person said to me, I said, well, I'm so glad that you decided to come. You really are meant to be here. And they said, oh, you probably say that to everyone. And I was like, oh, it's so sad that people think that. But I understand completely, because there are people who do say that to everyone. And I can tell you that I do not say that to everyone. I have turned people down. I have turned away spouses and partners. There have been people who've come with their kids and we found them a nanny. They don't come into the healing space because we were wrapped in a cocoon. So part of what happened the night before is I was creating the space. I was laying in bed in the place where everybody came to do the initial healings, and a couple days we didn't go there, but we mostly had half a day in our cocoon where I had created altars and brought as many of my crystals and dolphins and jaguars and other healing tools, lots of sound healing, and that I get to do because on Zoom they cut it off. So what's exciting is that I can bring you into a cocoon. And that's what I saw happen after I'd created the space. I was talking to the spirit guides, talking to the land. You have to realize no matter where you go on the earth, there's a lot of spirit, there's a lot of energy. The land, the elements, the water, the rain, the people who've lived there, the mindset of what's happened, the war, or the people buried, or the weddings, or the joy, or the peace, because nobody goes there. The ancients who did ceremony, those energies are encoded into the land and the water and the air and our bodies. So I never thought I was attracted to the Maya. Didn't honestly know much about them at all. As far as I knew, we were told barely anything about these people. One lady on the retreat this time said, I didn't even know there were pyramids here until I heard you talk about it. This peninsula is covered in pyramids. It is covered in ancient Mayan sites and Toltec sites, primarily Mayan, and then parts of the rest of the country have some incredible ones, but this is the highest concentration on the planet. And there's also pyramids that are in Japan and in Jamaica and all over. Many of them are underwater right now. And they were designed for a lot of different reasons. They were a stairway back to our truth. They were a understanding that we go through waves of consciousness back to the temple, which is the descended God, which is us. We descended into this world. So the ancient Maya have what I call the blue heart of truth. And what we're doing is, what I'm doing here is connecting to and being a channel, a conduit for the light, for the wisdom that can be used now for our highest good. And to draw those codes from the land, from the temples, from the waters, from the dolphins. They're very ancient. When we go into the cenotes, we're in the womb of the mother. We do sacred ceremony. We ingest cacao. This is a sacred god and goddess energy that is now in us. And not just in us because we ate a chocolate bar that has a vague trace of cacao. And I had cacao treats the whole time for everybody. It raises your serotonin, and when you do spiritual work, when you travel between the worlds, when you're being recalibrated by dolphins, when you're getting third eye activations from manatees, from a jaguar skull, and from dolphins, you need to replenish that serotonin, because that's what makes melatonin, DMT, and it activates and opens your halo, your ability to perceive and receive higher and higher intuitive levels. Okay, so right now I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm looking up at the little camera, and I can see the aura around me, around the all the stuff behind me over here somewhere, and it was glowing, and then it suddenly went green, this incredible green glow. So like I said, I'm unfolding into what's happened for me. The people who came had daily huge healings, releasings, receiving, upgrading messages, getting visions. We had an incredible experience with an iguana, and yes, there's lots of iguanas here, and I live with iguanas in my yard, and this is not normal. This was a very unusual experience, and I even showed a friend of mine after, and they were just like, wow. 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 And they're from here. This was a clear communication from Iguana, who to me overall embodies the quality for intuition. And we were on the wind god temple cliff, and next to these sacred sites over sacred water cenotes, and we were guided to sit right on the cliff and the waves were crashing, and it wasn't just waves are coming in, it was like bam, and we could feel the vibration come up through us. And this was on the equinox in the morning, and bam. So before we went through into the temple area, I cleansed everyone. And again, this was like after several days of doing this vibrational work. Now we go with being willing to release all that was, and we walk through this sacred ancient tunnel into the sacred site. And there's the sun, the ocean, the wind, and the elements were just everywhere. Everybody insisted on sitting in the earth. It was very interesting. We were right next to a place where I was taken down into the cenote by the water spirits that are in the cenotes. It's pure water in the cenotes. These are caves that are all over the peninsula that hold very sacred waters. They are so pure. So we do purifying, we do sound healing, and there's many of them, of course, you can't see because there's temples built on top of them. So our inner child drew us down in there, and we there was glowing blue, the water spirits. I experienced the water spirits, but more the wisdom and the codes in the water. And it's different in every cenote that I've been to, and I've been to a lot. And what I do for our retreats is I find ones that we can go to just us. So there are big fun ones where people zip line and have a great time. And I want to find a way for us to be in sacred space, to be held in the womb of the mother, which we did after our cacao spa and cacao ceremony in the sacred cave. Just unbelievable, the energies that you get to have this heart healing and then purify. We went into another one that was a cave that you open on this side and you go in and under, and we call it the mermaid cenote. And so there's a different energy to each of them. So this is the only place that I've experienced this energy of the water spirits coming up and literally taking me out of my body down through the rock and into that as I was chanting Om Shanti. It's basically peace. And they said, that is what we do. So I was in there with the water spirits, and this time they were glowing blue, and they took the part of us down that was our inner child. Now, this was relevant because in the cacao ceremony, which is about love and lots of feminine energy, lots of being wrapped in this nurturing energy, and into the cave that's called Guadalupe, which is named after Mary, which is the icon of the divine feminine that has lasted through time. So don't get caught up in the religious aspect of it like I used to. And the beauty of being embraced in her womb, in the earth, eating of the cacao and the honey and the different things, and literally being spa'd, being scrubbed with these elements and herbs and warm waters and oils and sacred music being played in the cave while she's preparing it and singing. All the elements, and the sun coming down out of this one little oculus over us and another one coming down in the water cave. This is what you can't convey. I wish with all my heart I knew what I said when I was gifted the jaguar skull and asked to channel the meditation during our sacred jaguar ceremony with the Aztec Mayan team. It was one of the pinnacle points of my life, and I'll talk more about it in a moment. So every day is cumulative, and it was so interesting because on the last night we go have a beautiful dinner next to the Dolphin Lagoon, and I treat everybody, and people were sharing, and I need something to drink. Excuse me. Let me just check that you guys are here. Hi guys. Oh, good. Okay, I want to make sure that you can see me and everything's good. Seems like you can. So during that ceremony, our inner child came up, the cacao ceremony, and this was on day 2. So In the morning, we did our first day with the dolphins, and in the afternoon, we went to this sacred cave in the jungle, and this beautiful divine being shared with us. So yeah, I'm going to move to the picture so you can follow along. However, then that inner child came up again as almost as soon as I started to channel. Once we sat down, I created sacred space. I draw in sacred designs and symbols in the dirt around us, and I've got certain crystals with me, and I can't light the incense in the wind, but that was the first thing. Was those beautiful blue water spirits took our inner child down. Then Kukulkan, who all of the big pyramids here are named after, who is the sun god, the wind god, the feathered serpent, is the guide back to your light, to move and shed your old being and keep moving back until you emerge back to your own feathers, your own freedom, your own spirit, your own crown. And this is the most divine guide and God essence that they had here. The second was the jaguar. And many cultures, Egyptian especially prominent among them, revered the serpent, the snake, the sun, and those as the elements. So there's a lot of this happening, and we were right next to the temple of Kukulkan, and near the wind god temple, which is one of also to that, and the wind's coming across the ocean. So this isn't just wind coming through trees. We're on the raw cliff, and you can imagine and feel all these elements as they're coming together. The wind god and this particular site is relevant to the throat chakra. So often I go here near the end of the retreat. We went for the equinox because it was the peak. The whole thing was equinox. So the night before all this energy healing started to happen around each of us, and I saw us as if we were floating, laying flat, and structures of gold, and then we were each sealed inside of a cocoon of white light. And that's how we entered the retreat. So this is on day 4. We now have the ability to take everything that we've released, everything we've received, everything that's been activated, and sit in the elements and have the water pound the emotional body until everything is out. And it was coming up in people and crying and releasing, and pains that were old freeing, and then the wind, and then Kukulkan came through me, and I was channeling. And I wish I had recordings of the healings that we did, and when I talked through the skull of the jaguar and all of this. And that is part of coming. It is one of those things we've tried in the past and they never work out, and Spirit has said this is a moment. This is a moment when people feel called to be a part of this, when they want this kind of awakening, when they're ready to step into the appointment they have with their soul, they will know. And that's how I knew that this was meant to happen, because this had people who were so synchronistic. They weren't like, oh, I'm your client. Oh, I've wanted to come a long time. This was all just like boom, boom, boom. I saw it. I knew it. I'm coming. And that is a level of clarity from soul that has completely transformed all of us, because we've had this honor to be together. So let me go ahead and share this one, some pictures and some more stories where it makes more sense about what I'm sharing. So we know an awakening happening on the planet, and we have a polar shift happening. We are going to opposite ends of polarity. So today I wanted to reveal some of this Mayan magic that I've been talking about and the healings that have happened. This is a picture of one of our dolphin friends. I think it's Regina. And the joy to me is so incredible because it's diving down and coming back up before all of its body has gone back down again. So it's this complete curve of diving into life and yet turning and coming back up, not getting immersed, being stuck. It's the joy of like in and out and up and down, and the strength to know that you have it. So this is my beautiful, beautiful friend and healer and mother, Estrella, and her name means star. And I've done many, many healings. If you look into her eye, She is wanting you to know that you are one of her children. She has so much love. She's had many children. I was honored to get to play with her baby Draco several years ago for the first 4, 5, 6 months. And she, her and I had a very happy moment reconnecting after many years since I have been there during the pandemic. So this is one of our beautiful pods, and do remember there'll be a link below. If you get on my website, subscribe here, we'll always make sure you know how. But it's an important thing to call me, to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about the retreat. We're including the accommodations, and we're even providing the accommodations from the night before through till the day after, and that's 6 nights. But we're also now providing a 7th day if you want to come a day early so you can settle, get a better plane schedule. I like to do that and get myself fully settled in before it begins. So please come and join me now. We have a special on, so it's important to take some action. Oops. So this is a few of the people. We haven't finished gathering them. Thank you for an amazing and healing adventure with all spirits and animals. I loved it. I'm really grateful. And every day there was so much emotion, so much gratitude flying to each of us, from each of us, that we all came, that they all met each other. There's no way for me to capture it again, so I'm only able to capture what's texted to me or emailed to me. So there's another beautiful lady who, boy, is she synchronistic, and she's opening up on her path in such an incredible way. The light and beauty in her eyes is being reflected now through her soul. So you're so talented. Every day was amazing. So every day I would channel a healing. I want to tell you how grateful I am for everything. I had tons more stuff come through from the dolphins, the manatees, the iguana. More communication and visions are coming like I've never had. It's also weird and amazing to me to see this fast change in my gifts. She's woken up in the last few years, so everything is very new and very good time to be waking up right now. Go very fast. I've never seen visions before. I've never had such a clear and direct animal communication before. I'm talking to iguanas. She kept saying that all day. It's still going on. I'm talking to iguanas. I love you. I think you're awesome. Lots of love. And so we got to do all these things with the dolphins, and I want to invite you to do this because in the past we did one day with the dolphins, and it was really important, the dolphins told me, was to get you into the water with them 3 different days. So 3 of the days we go spend a half day with the dolphins, manatees, and doing kissing, hugging, building a relationship with our 3D pod, and then we do high vibration healing. They're constantly doing sonar messaging. They're raising our brain to bliss. They're recalibrating physically. People have physical healings, things that have been trapped in the body. Every time they try to do some form of healing, even acupuncture or something, the body would react so violently. So I had created a space for that kind of stuff to come up and out in the healings I do for you. And then the dolphins can go from there and start rewiring things, start releasing things. And so you go to bliss, you're just full of happiness. There isn't any pain or anything when you're with the dolphins. And then full light body, okay? Mental, emotional, all those levels of your light body, all the way down to every part of your soul. This is not a healing for you in this moment only, all right? You are a multidimensional being, and that's what they want us to understand is let's play with all of us. So we did meditations, we did energy medicine, I did healings on them in there with the dolphins, also doing healing. We got to receive our own, lots of soul healing. And one of the most amazing things, like I said earlier, was we did a lot of eye to eye, heart to heart, and third eye activations and connections. So, hello, baby. So we did healing work with Lulu and Cielo, and this is Lulu. And we did play and communication work with Jono and forgetting right now. And we did other play, kisses and hugs with Estrella and Regina and another one. And so we got, we were in the water with more than that. And during the last healing meditation, I was feeling the energies coming from the two dolphins next door, especially Apollo. And he kept coming over to the fence and sending a wave and poofing at me. And so please just receive the love that our beautiful Lulu has. One of the most amazing experiences, and I've had a lot of experiences with them, and I'm so grateful, is our last day. We were there in the afternoon with the dolphins, and that's not normally how I planned it, but they rearranged it that way, and I was very grateful because I did the final healing in the morning, and then we went and they had the whole afternoon to recalibrate us and do our final rewiring, so to speak. And as we finished our meditation, we were getting out. We were going to get to go kiss some manatees for a little bit, but we were done with our dolphins. We were walking. I was walking along the platform, still in the water. There was no one around, no trainers or anything. Teresa was coming towards me, but she was a ways away. And Lulu kept coming up to me. She wasn't swimming around. She wasn't swimming by. She wasn't looking at me from a little ways away with her eye. She did this. She came right up in front of me, like, I don't know, 8 inches in front of me, stuck her head up and just sat there. And I slowly was like, yes, and I'd kiss her, hold her hand. She would turn and look at me. We started having this unbelievable connection. And then I would stand up like, okay, and she would go down and come right back up. And then I held her heart and we did some heart-to-heart healing, and then I kissed her, and this kept going on. And then Teresa came and she was like, oh my gosh. So she was standing there too, and we were taking turns as she just, and I don't know how long it went on. It was at least 10 minutes. And our beautiful friend and who was guiding our session came over from above us on land and said, you've got to get out now if you want to go kiss the manatees. And we were like, we want to kiss the manatees, but we are not walking away from this. This is the magic that happens. You have to be there. We don't know if the iguana is going to come and talk to us. That's never happened in that way before. We don't know if we're going to get special access to this temple. That's the cause of you being there. That's the cause of all the people and the purposes and the work we're doing together and individually as we walk through this transformational experience. So, hello, Lulu, my love. So we stayed there. We were like, we're staying as long as possible. And then they were kind enough to still let us play with kiss the manatees and feed them more. So they love to heal and recalibrate. They're doing it from even if you're standing on the platform. And just a reminder, some of the energies of dolphin spirit. So we've been working in my series now. Hopefully you'll go take a look at Dolphin Healing playlist on my channel here, because we had phenomenal healings come through and channelings from rainbow dolphins, silver dolphins. I'm not sure if that happened there, but it happened for several of my clients when I did sessions for them. You get a private session with me with the dolphins before, ideally, if you can, and recorded. So it's very telling when the dolphins come through in that session. It really connects you to wisdom's ancient lives with dolphin wisdom, other starseed wisdom, and we've had just so many levels. We have Perseus, who's still too young for us to interact with, but I will be keeping my eye because I am getting emails from people saying, I know I'm meant to come and kiss Perseus, and I can't wait for that moment too. Perseus is the beautiful baby dolphin, 4 months old, that's at a different place that we're going to later this year be able to go work with. And mother, it's a she, mother is Osiris, father is Zeus, and all that divine all that divine God and demigod God in body energy just in their names is quite profound. So Perseus came through several times and is one of my primary channel guides now. And hi, sweetie. And told us that she's a moon dolphin, and I'd never heard of that before. So we have all these, we have dolphins in the 3D, we have dolphins that they're multidimensional spirit guides. So dolphin is a representative of a high consciousness species that's been on the planet for a very long time, helping us raise our vibration. And we've only just very, very recently become interactive with dolphins and have learned their intelligence, have learned our ability to interact with them, and they are enriching our lives knowing this rather than, oh, they're just a fish in the sea. That's stupid. I don't care if they get caught in the net while I'm eating my tuna, right? This we can't do anymore. So they're all about joy. And I can tell you the high vibe healing, the joy, the brain bliss, just being around them. We just went over for 10 to 15 minutes the first lunchtime, and to meet them from the platform. We got to private access to go on the island and go meet different ones and say hello. And we were giggling. We were all like goofies walking away. They embody freedom. And this is the freedom you have to jump out of your emotions, to jump out of your world, to realize that you're not limited. Enjoyment. They love everything. They're just fun, fun, fun. Playing between the worlds, divine protection, spiritual guidance, rebirth, renewal, protection, messenger. So these are just a few of those things. Hello, sweetie. So this is Hidalgo. That's the other being that we did a lot of play with. And Hidalgo, wow, Hidalgo really, really loved playing with us. These are some of our friends when we first came. That's Regina and Estrella. And we got to have these intimate moments, starting to get to know the dolphins, starting to feel their heart, starting to receive kisses, starting to have heart-to-heart and eye-to-eye contact with them. And this is Regina, and not Regina, I'm sorry, Estrella. And the beautiful, beautiful being that they are working with you right now. They have two giant brains. They have one of the most, I think it is the most sophisticated way of scanning, calibrating. I see the energies that they send. Right now there's like ripples, like a wave, like boo, boo, like we would think of a radio tower and that going out in waves. You can also sometimes see it reflected around them in the water. So we have, like I mentioned over and over, it was outrageous. And I honestly didn't even understand the depth of what happened with us doing these third eye activations until I began to come home through the jungle. Thankfully, there was a 4-hour, 5-hour drive through the jungle and some other things to do because it's like a decompression period. So when you leave a retreat, it's important that your trip home isn't a trip of stressing into the old way of being. It's a trip of processing and accepting and just being in where you've been so that you can anchor it and bring it with you, because you are not the same person anymore. So we had many different dolphins, many different third eye activations, and we had even some with the manatees. So we get to play, we get to communicate through emojis. If we ask them to spin or if they ask us to spin, we all spin. Sing, we sing, and we started singing the Barney song. So it sounds corny, but one lady said, you know what? It's this is when we threw the emojis and they picked a kiss. And so you just let them come and kiss you, singing. And so we sang that I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. With a great big hug and a kiss from me to you, won't you say you love me too? And it became a theme. There was another song as well for the retreat, and we sang it to the iguana. And one lady sent me a thing and said it's become now a mantra to her. And so taking it out of the context of where it came from, this was a beautiful vibration we had. So manatees have all these calm presence and the ability to be peaceful and trusting and vulnerable. They're 100% vegetarians and they're enormous and they eat tons and tons and tons and tons and tons every day. And we got to have a prolonged kissing and third eye session with them. And this is the lady who really started channeling the iguana and communicating, who said, well, I talked to an iguana, why not a manatee? And begin to get these downloads from the manatees. My smoochy, smoochy kisses. I just love these wonderful beings. And the floating meditation, of course, is what I was mentioning, where they're free. This is Lulu and Cielo. And Cielo means sky. And she came through in our final, my channeled healing that morning. She came through and said, I am Cielo. And she was enormous and she was over us. And that means sky. And Akasha, that's me, that's my name, also means sky, is around you. And we were enveloped like the sky or the atmosphere envelops a planet. It was quite profound. So you get an hour to be with the dolphins floating around you. And I also was blessed to be able to do energy work. While the dolphins are doing energy work on you, I also did healings for each person. And this, again, we also did the last day in the afternoon. So I was able to do the guided meditations and the activations in the morning, the completions, and there was channelings from a lot of different spirit beings came through. And then we communicated, we played ball, and now we began to get ready for our floating meditation with the dolphins, where they work with you very high frequency. Often you go to other star worlds and your body isn't just the only thing receiving the vibrations in the water. And then I get to, this was the throat chakra, I get to do this energy work, helping the third eye, which was a big theme, of course. And so these were some pictures during our free time with our beautiful friends playing with the ball. And we got to throw the ball. They loved to bring it back. And it was a ton of joy. Look at this, throwing it back again. So this is an incredible experience. Now we combine it with the cacao ceremony, which is a very sacred plant. It does not give you psychedelic visions, but it does open the heart. And once it's seated within you in a sacred way like this, you are never the same. Now, this is when we first arrive. We're in the jungle around a fire. We're blessed and cleansed with copal and some instruments and other sacred things. And this is a tea. This is a tea. Oh God, it was good. It was ginger and citrus, lemon. And then we go down into the cave. This is the cenote based on, this is a sacred feminine womb cenote. And so once we get down in there, there's a music, there's a beautiful pre-Hispanic man playing music, drums, instruments. I have videos I'm going to be putting together so you can hear and see more of this. And all of these things are prepared. This is cacao prepared. There's paste, there's some for us to eat, there's honey, and she's actually crushing the cacao that she has roasted in the traditional way and prepares a paste for us to use on our bodies, as well as herbs. You can see we're coming down one by one. There's some of the instruments over there. It is a very, very beautiful sacred cave, and you go in and you're held in love, and there's just nothing but love here. And I know this beautiful woman, she's a dear, dear friend of me now, and this is where the sun is coming through. Then right next to us, you can walk into the water. And this is the womb cenote, pure waters. And this was where our inner child had come up. So as we each took our turns going into the waters, we came in and out. We had time to go alone, time to go together. And you can go underneath the stalactites, tone or play music with them. And this beautiful being was playing in the sunlight on a rock and giggling like a little girl for the longest time. Her inner child came out to play. It was just wonderful. And this is the Equinox Temple. That was me eating the sun. So at the end of the activation, before the iguana appeared, I channeled the whole activation. We connected with the waters, the land, and everything I told you. And then I sat down on a rock. I had been standing, and I put some new symbols in the earth. I got out more of my crystals, and then the sun was coming right on me and heating up the palms, my crown chakra in my palms. And I was told to open my mouth, and it was going straight to the back of my throat. I could feel the warmth of the sun. It was swallowing the sun codes. So I did this for everyone. There's the Wind God Temple. Here's some of our initial symbols. These changed. And over on the cliff over here, you can just see part of our little area here, but was where the iguana came up later. So there she is. She appeared after we finished, and they are around. They were looking out the windows of the temple right next to us, to be honest. However, this is a very, very unusual one. She told us she was a woman. She has a line in the center of her throat. So we were working throat chakra, wind, emotion, and everything. And she stood there for quite a long time. a little ways away. And then she came up to us. So you see her here coming up, and she crawled on this lady's hat. She licked it. She went over to the backpack. Later, she went around and also put her tongue. So this is unusual behavior, to say the least. So she spent a long time looking at us. Her tail had 3 different mutations on it. And it was so interesting because as she was sitting there, she started to attract attention, and people were coming over trying to take a picture of her. And we were discussing her tail, and a lady said, "Oh, they shed." And this is significant because we worked with shedding. We work with Kukulkan, the serpent, with shedding. So this was, so one of the ladies looked up and went, "Oh my God, more shedding." And your tail and your tailbone. And it was interesting because I came home and my chiropractor actually did some energy work on my tailbone the day I came back. So it was very intriguing. But this is there we are, we're quantumly entangled because of our proximity, yet this beautiful being felt the need to come touch stuff, to be underneath her. You can see here are some of the different things. Look at this. And then she came out into our circle where I had the drawings. And then she went, there she is again. You can see this line down the center. Hello, beautiful. And then she turned and went around and went behind those rocks and basically came out, went into the center of our circle, circled around our circle to create her own energy circle, went back to the cliff and called her baby up. So this was our intuitive spirit guide really blessing us and showing us that we have just been born again. There's so much more meaning here that I just want to share with you these highlights because, wow, there's just, it's indescribable. And like I said, my head has felt like it's about 3 feet wide and 3 feet tall. My mind, my crown, my third eye have been so awakened, so open. Then after that morning temple iguana experience, we got to purify in another cenote. And this one we call the mermaid cenote because that rock that she's about to get on, you can do a little mermaid pose, but it goes way deep underneath different parts. You can see how pure and incredible the water is. So we had our activation, we had the wind, the water, the iguanas, the temples, the ancients came out. There was so much energy there of the ancient spirits, the Mayan spirits, but others as well. And the wind bringing across the sea. Then we go to purify. And so mermaids and purification, being able to swim underneath these incredible rocks. You can see a few people under there. And the beauty of that incredible, incredible sacred waters. So from here, we then, this is all on the equinox. We then go through the jungle into our jaguar equinox ceremony at the chakra temple. It's got ears, eyes, a heart, a star crown chakra. I love this place. And this is where I received this incredible third eye activation and gift from the jaguar spirit. So as we came through the jungle and approached the temple, we had these jaguar, this is part of Christian's team. They were blowing the conch shells. The conch shells were sacred and were used to open portals. They're opening a portal and they're creating a sacred space around the temple just for us. Remember, these are not tourist experiences. This is just for us. And then they did dances for us. There was healing. Christian here is holding, has the butterfly on his hat, and he shared with us about the equinox, about the jaguar. The spots on the jaguar's back represent the constellations, the Milky Way. And so the jaguar taught the Maya how to live on the earth. And many, many places, jaguars, panthers, all of those forms of cats were highly revered because they can see in the dark. They're all about vision and inner vision and seeing through the dark, even your own shadows. That's how they work with me. And they walk silently and are unseen, yet they see. They can be seen. They can be seen if they want to. And they taught the humans how to live in a body, how to be a good mother, how to find food, how to find water in the jungles. So there is an incredible, you can see the ear here, which is very relevant to me. I'll share that another time. There's a tree of life. And we sat around this center circle. We took the flower petals and we filled them with our intention and our love in our hearts, and we poured the blessings onto each other. There were the sacred dances, and my beautiful friends. And here's the jaguar skull. So if you understand indigenous cultures, when an animal died or gifted them their body to you, you respected and revered it. And so they would find a bird and use the feathers or the head, or they would find something. So skulls are traditionally extreme high levels of communication. So crystal skulls, a friend of mine who's been studying to become a shaman-ish kind of woman told me that she lives in the jungle. She's told me that her neighbor has a turtle skull and she can hear it talking from, through several condos away energetically, because since she's been raising her frequency, working with the elements and everything she's learning to do. So you can see I'm not smiling because this is at the end of the ceremony. I've just been through this transformative ceremony. I've been through everything we did that day on the equinox, and I was asked and handed this skull suddenly and said, you are meant to channel. I don't know what I said. I'm going to ask some of the other people there if they remember anything. I do remember speaking very loudly, very powerfully, and it channeled the meditation as we sat in a circle in our rose petals. Afterwards, I asked to have these pictures taken, and I'm not fully there. I'm at such peace and serenity that, to me, this is who I was. This is who I was in that moment. And during the ceremony, when I held the skull to my third eye, I held it, and energy went through me, through my bones. And then when I held it to my third eye during the ceremony, energy went directly across my brow, my skull, around the edges of my head, and up into my crown. It was so palpable and so powerful, and continued for a long time, that I know that I've downloaded Jaguar Vision, Jaguar Spirit Medicine, at a different level of being from this. It continues to be an incredible gift. And my friend Christian said, I have a very special gift for you all today. We were each, during the ceremony, I channeled, then I passed it, and we each held it and got to communicate. Then I put it in the center of our circle, and we all had our hands on it as we completed our connection. So we are Jaguar sisters now, and we all have been gifted at a very high level. So this is the kind of thing that I didn't know was going to happen. I've never had this experience, the iguana one either. And this is what happens when you come on a retreat, is you don't know what's going to happen. So this is a little bit of information about what we do and what we've experienced, and how we've come into a new world in the equinox. So I'm going to share a ceremony I was told as I was preparing for this. I call in the directions, and I learned through goddess ways. I learned through a lot of different nature and Native Americans on connecting to the elements, connecting to the directions, connecting. And I also do it the Mayan way, which is to acknowledge 7 directions, the 4 directions, above, below, and within. And as I was doing that before the call today, they gave me a vision to do a ceremony for you online. So I'll be doing that this next week. So take a look for that. I'm also going to be doing a very profound spiritual weather report, and so that we can catch up on what's happening, because the energies, like I was saying in the beginning, are going to look like this. And yet if you stop and you stay centered, if you continue to develop your intuition, this next April and May are an excellent time to do your spiritual work, to activate your third eye, to to get deeper visions, to understand symbols, to start to receive instead of being in a doubt loop of, am I getting communication? Is there synchronicity or not? See everything and acknowledge it as quickly as you can, and then see what happens. So I don't remember which day it was, but could have been the equinox because there were so many weird things that happened. I mean, weird things disappeared, things reappeared, stuff that it just was, it's crazy. And I was finishing the day by walking home from through the little town that we're in, walking over to the condo. And I know I'm drawing a blank. All of these symbols and signs were coming. And it was just like looking over here and seeing something, and looking over there and having something happen. And about 5 of these things happened in the space of less than an hour. And I was turning the corner a block from our condo, and I decided to walk instead of on the street, on this little sidewalk that walked in front of these yachts. And then I cut through this bar that's just sitting there in the open. And there were some people sitting at the bar with their back to me. And I look over, and this man has a T-shirt with some kind of picture, and it said Perseo, which is Perseus in Spanish. And I started to laugh. Now, even though we didn't get to interact in the 3D with Perseus, one of the people on the retreat had specifically said, I need to kiss Perseus. And I said, you and me and probably a lot of other people. But it was that I just burst out laughing. I didn't even take a picture. It was like one thing after another. Oh, we went to eat at a little cafe real quick just before going to bed early. And Chris walked over to a bookshelf, just random books and magazines. He picks up a magazine, he starts flipping it through it, and we're in it. So it's a magazine from about 1.5 years ago where his travel channel, we got featured for buying a home here. And there's a big picture of us that we just opened, and we'd never seen the actual magazine. So that kind of thing. There's synchronicities, there's communication all the time. What does it mean? Well, that's the next level. Which first you have to be like, I'm walking in the middle of all of this. And one of the reasons is on the way there through the jungle, we went through a small Mayan town called Tikuch, and I saw people selling things. Now there's communication coming in on the road, and I saw this. It hangs. It's like a dream catcher, and I had only seen one of these before in the temple where we had the jaguar ceremony. And I didn't remember that it was there until I was there. And then I just saw it, and I was like, where are we? And okay, we're in Tikuch. On the way back, I'm getting it. And on the way back, I did. So that to me was the jaguar spirit talking to me on my way there, because I was in the temple where one of these was. And that's where the jaguar skull came to me. And Christian said, I was sitting in my room preparing, and I said, what is special? What is for Nan? Because we've worked together so many times. He always asks me what we're doing, and we kind of co-create and connect in the energies that we are bringing into this healing journey. And he said, the jaguar said this. And he said, it was so strong that I knew that was just, yeah, okay. I didn't question it. So the opportunity for you to open your inner eye right now in the next month or two, to do your deeper spiritual work in understanding the symbols and the communication that come to you. Now, you don't have to understand right away. And I loved that Christian, during the jaguar ceremony, he sat with us and he talked about our journeys together and separate, and that when you come full circle, you really have to go back to your own experience. What everybody else is doing is only relevant in different moments. And he said, don't try, after the ceremony, he said, don't try to make it mean anything. Don't force an understanding of what you've just experienced. Just let it be. And he told us something his father used to tell him, who was the leader of the Indigenous Elders Society. He was Aztec. And so that reinforces my message that I say, let it unfold. One of the biggest blocks we have is our logical mind that's conditioned to know, to want to be able to prove, wants to validate, wants to see the result, has an agenda. And spirit doesn't operate on our logical agenda. So I hope that what you'll do is you'll take these pictures, you'll take in the frequencies that I've gifted you, these stories that are going to you. These are connecting you to the energies, and let them go in you. What is the spirit guide that is calling to you? Is it the iguana, the dolphin, the manatee? Is it the jaguar? Is it we had a black squirrel in the jungle, okay, a Caribbean black jungle squirrel come down the tree and sit there for a long time while we're taking pictures and talking to it, and it looked like it had a small coconut, but it was ripping it open, and coconuts are very difficult. Plus I'm like, do they eat coconuts? Until we saw it pull fluff out. And then I knew it was a pod from the ceiba tree. So the trees and the roots were also a huge part of our healing on the equinox at the temple. I forgot about that, thank you. But there's these sacred trees wherever we go, and they were in bloom. Their pods were opening, and they released this fluff that has their seeds inside of it. It is the softest stuff you have ever touched. It's softer than alpaca, okay? And it flies through the air like you're in a fairyland, if it's happening, and these happened. So, but we're in the jungle. I didn't see the actual ceiba tree, but one of those pods had fallen down, and clearly he knew that if he pulled it open, it had this soft fluff to put into his nest. So, and squirrels are prosperity and luck and protection and guidance. So that was a beautiful, we had tohoku birds all over. They're a sacred bird. They're a cousin of the quetzal, which was a sacred bird to the Aztecs and Mayans. It has a long tail, and it flies like that in this rhythm, very much like the serpent. And they have a beautiful blue and iridescent colors, and then their tail has two things that come way down with nothing on them, and then a big feather at the bottom, and they move them like a pendulum. Doot, 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 doot. And they have a distinct call. There was, I don't know, I would say at least 5 to 9 of them there talking the whole time we were in the mermaid cenote. They are the guardians of the cenote. So we get this opportunity to have the land and the elements of the waters and the winds and the ancients and the temples and the dolphins and the manatees, and to weave all of this together. So I hope that you will bring yourself some of these gifts, and then take a look at what you've been through this equinox, because you too were in a cocoon. You too were going through a transformation. And what's happening now is we're starting a new astrological year. We're in Aries now. We've just had a new moon, which is planting seeds. It's a very creative new moon. It's a very you're going to have a few weeks now where you're going to feel lots of possibilities, okay? Because we have Pluto going into Aquarius. So that's freedom or dictatorship, pick your side, and independence and all of that. And Pluto is transformation, it's death and rebirth. But then there's going to be 6 months when it goes back into Capricorn, where we're going to see more intensity and hard work and restriction and rules. And then it's going to go back out, and then it's going to go back in, and then it's going to spend many, many years. So this is an energy we haven't encountered since 1777. So there's a lot of new energy. So the first part here, do your intuition practice. If you're in my intuition class, join the accelerator. It is where you will get the chance to use this energy to expand very, very quickly. Take a look at some of my new offerings that are coming out. I'm going to have some spiritual visions, symbols, visionary things, classes coming so that you can get assistance during this time. Then as we enter later in May, we're going to be having more desire for money, more desire to spend money, more connection to earthly things, manifestations, senses, awakening. So we're going to be doing advanced money intuition class and some other things around that as well. So think about that next few months, okay, into the summer. Excuse me. I get a lot of, when I do this spiritual work, a lot of energy comes up the back of my throat, and it's like, woo, woo, now I'm clearing my third eye. Thank you. And this jaguar was with us at the temples and everywhere we went. This one has been to every equinox with me on the top of pyramids, and is my divine dear friend. Okay, namaste. We give great thanks for this beautiful experience and this opportunity to share. And we ask that these energies go out with love, grace, healing, beauty, and power into the world, into the waters, into the ethers, into the minds, into the bodies, into the eye in the heart, the eye in the palms, the eye in the crown, the eye in the throat. You are and always have been divine vision. Now allow all these energies around you to support you on your path. Now realize in every moment you have not just body intelligence, not just Gaia, not just your higher self or your guardian angels. You have synchronicities and messages. You have the ability to open to them and let them guide you so that your path, although may be through difficult times, pain, or loss, is always supported, is always filled with love, and is always aligned to your highest good and your path. May your divine energies of your soul's purpose awakened in your Kundalini and bring a path that you can shed the old, that you can free yourself to be anchored in this moment, so you can open your vision, recalibrate yourself to higher levels of joy, and live in this eternal path of divine beauty, releasing and becoming your next optimal self. In your heart, say, who am I? Becoming? Who am I? Designed to be. Who am I? I'm ready to see. In La Quechalakin, I am another you. You are another me. We are one. Namaste. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon. Thanks.